What's up, guys? This is Tai Zen. Welcome to the cryptocurrency.market channel. This is a trading, investing, and entrepreneurship channel. I'm going through District 1 in the beautiful city of Ho Chi Minh City right now, in the southern part of Vietnam, in Southeast Asia. And in this video, guys, I want to share with you something that that happened, today, that you guys can learn from. So my housekeeper was cleaning my house, and she was asking me why I don't put my kids in the schools like all the other wealthy people in my neighborhood. And I said, and she was just asking me a few things, while she was cleaning my house. She was asking me a few just random stuff about the actions that I take compared to everyone else that, the other houses that she cleans. She notices that most of the actions that I do are different from the other people, right? And I told her that I did not want to get the same results. I did not want my kids to get the same results in life, right? Because if I grew up very poor as a Vietnamese refugee in America, lived in the ghetto neighborhoods, hung around the wrong people, got involved in drugs, ended up in federal prison for nearly 14 years for drugs, and came out and had to start my life over in my mid-30s. And I knew that if I did the same thing that all the other poor people were doing, that I would never have a chance to become wealthy and become financially free and be able to retire early and live the life of my dreams, okay? So I always ask, myself what I could do that was different, okay? And I just didn't ask myself to do something different, okay? For example, I used to live in the city of Austin, which is located in the state of Texas in the southern part of America. And that's probably the second best city to live in America. And when I was living in Austin, we had this trend back in around 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. During that time when I lived there, we had this trend where the guys that were living there, we had this hippie trend where all these hippies, they were like the counterculture. They were against the system. They were against the man. They were against the government. They were against the institutions. And they wanted to do things on their own, There's 4 black guys walking out here in Ho Chi Minh City. That's like the first time I've ever seen 4 black guys walking together at the same time in Ho Chi Minh City or in Vietnam. So that was interesting. Anyways, I can tell they're African blacks. They're not like the American blacks, because their body language was not consistent with that of an American black person. But anyways, as I was saying, these hippies, they thought that, we're not going to do what the man tells us and do all this other nonsense. And they step outside of that system and that box, and then they step into another system or a box full of hippies. And unbeknownst to these hippies, they all dress the same, they all talk the same, they all sound the same, they're all broke as shit, and the things that they eat, are all the same, right? Or I should say very, very similar. Like, it was very easy to tell which ones were the hippies and which ones were not the hippies in the city of Austin, okay? And what that taught me was a very valuable lesson when I came out of prison and I was living in the city of Austin. What that taught me was that that if you step outside the box that you're in and you step outside the system that you're in, and I'm going to pause right here real quick. I forgot to explain what the box means, because the people that for the people that don't speak English as your primary language, right? When you say that someone fits in a box, that means that they fit into a standard, a mold, or a template that society believes. Okay, so let's just say that people think that, rich people are bad or evil or whatever. And so if you're rich, then people put you in that box, that mold, or that template, or that stereotype that you must be a bad person too if you're rich, okay? So some people think that, if somebody gives away their money and stuff like that they're a charitable person, that they're a good-natured person, or they have a good heart and stuff. And that's, being put in a box or in a mold or a template or a stereotype also. So now back to what I was saying, if the people that step outside the box that they're in, but they step into another box and they think it's better, is it really, really better? Okay, so I learned this being in prison when I saw people join street gangs, like the street gangs that probably one of the most vicious street gangs is what they call the MS-13, right? In Spanish, it's called the Mara Salvatrucha 13. Okay, so these street gangs, when people join the MS-13 street gangs, right, in prison, their tattoos are the same, their body language is the same, their hand gestures are the same, their body language is the same, the way they think is the same, the way they talk is the same, the vocabulary they use, the slang they use, it's all very similar. So you can tell by their hand gestures, their body language, the way they walk, the way they dress, the way they just think, and the way they just view the world. You can tell just from a few clues, you can quickly tell that these guys belong to the MS-13 gang and not from the MA gang or from the Paisa gang, okay? So they had these different gangs. And then when I came out of prison and I saw these hippies, they were doing the same thing. The hippies, they think the same, dress the same, eat the same, all very similar, all right? And everyone thinks that they're stepping outside the box. The guys that's in the MS-13 gangs, they think, oh, our gang is different. We're doing this different, so our gang is better. So, but when you step back and you look from the outside perspective and you look from a neutral perspective, you begin to realize that these people that are stepping outside the box, outside the system, right? And they think that they're doing something different, but the reality is they're doing the exact same thing, okay? They might be stepping outside the box of the mainstream of how people live and how people think and how people dress and eat and invest their money and everything. But when they step into that what they believe is the counterculture or that contrarian view of being in a street gang or being a hippie or something like that, it turns out that they're doing the exact same thing. They're stepping outside of one system or one box, and they're just jumping into another system or another box, okay? So what my housekeeper was trying to convince me was that all the other wealthy people in Vietnam send their kids to international schools. They, during the daytime for like 7 or 8 hours, and then afterwards they send their kids to, additional schooling for another 3-4 hours. So the kids don't come home until like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, okay? So I look at that and I ask myself, okay, the parents that are rich enough to send their kids to all this private schooling, right, are usually millionaires or wealthy people in Vietnam, okay? Despite what people think about Vietnam being a third world country and stuff like that, right? I'm going past the monument here. Many of you guys have seen that monk that burned himself alive to protest the war in Vietnam, okay? And to protest the foreigners invading Vietnam. I just went past his memorial, so they have a huge statue of him meditating, sitting there meditating. It's a very popular place in the city of Ho Chi Minh City. You ever get a chance to come to Ho Chi Minh City, make sure you go by and check out someone that is courageous and that was willing to fight for what he believed in, okay? So I always respect people like that. That's why I got sidetracked when we were passing his memorial and monument, okay? Anyways, back to what I was saying, right? Whenever we think that we step outside the box that we're currently in and we step into something different, even when you're like a stock investor or a bond investor or a gold investor, and you say, hey, I'm going to step out of that system and I'm going to go into the cryptocurrency world, right? I'm going to be different. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something unique, right? However, when you step into that, are you really doing something different or unique? Okay, we're in a different market. Right? Cryptocurrency is a different market. It's a new asset class that was born into our lifetime, and it's a completely new market, and everyone, including ourselves, is trying to learn and we make mistakes and we learn from it, right? But are you really doing something different? You're in a new market, you're in a new asset class, but are you really thinking different? Are you really taking a different set of actions that people normally don't take? Because if you're taking the same actions, even if it's in a different market or in a market that you think is better, is it really going to produce the results that you want? For example, right? If you want to join the street gangs, right, like the MS-13 street gangs and the Bloods and the Crips, right, and things like that, right? If somebody says something they don't like, right, they usually punch them in the face. Are you willing to do that? Okay, are you willing to do that? If you're not willing to do that, then you're not cut out. You're not fit to do that in the street gangs. You're not going to fit in. That's not the box that you want to jump in, because you are not prepared to punch somebody else in the mouth when they say or do something that you don't like. Okay, so the same thing is with the hippies. Are you willing to be a vegan? Not kill animals, have long hairs, not shave your face, dress like you're poor, dress all raggedy, right? And not dress cleanly. Are you willing to do that in order to be a hippie, right? If you're not, then you're not going to be a hippie, okay? Now, going back to cryptocurrency trading and investing, right? I'm making this video because I see a lot of people, right? When it's time to buy, they won't buy. When it's time to sell, they won't sell. When Bitcoin was at 20,000 and it's time to sell, they won't sell a little bit of their portfolio to lock in profits. When we are going through the current bear market that we're in right now, and Bitcoin is around, $6,000-7,000, and the market is down, we're below a 200 billion market cap. We're much closer to the bottom than we are to the top. The top was around 855 billion market cap, right? So right now we're under 200 billion market cap. So that means that we are a lot closer to the bottom than we are to the top. And a lot of people are not willing to buy. They're not willing to save their money. Like, today is New Year's. I'm shooting this video. I normally don't timestamp my videos, but I want to timestamp this video to share with you guys and use it as an example, right? Some people today, they're getting ready, like the streets are empty right now in Ho Chi Minh City, right? Everybody's taking off. It's New Year's, right? So everyone's taking off. And you have to ask yourself this, right? Why is Ty driving around the city and not out partying or drinking or doing any of that stupid, New Year celebratory stuff, right? Because of two things, guys. Because of several things. One is because I'm not going to wait for a stupid goddamn calendar to tell me when to celebrate my life. I refuse to do that. I don't care about holidays. I don't care about birthdays. I don't care about any of that nonsense, about Christmas, about any of that nonsense, okay? So, because I refuse to let the system that perpetuates poverty and the system that keeps people poor distract their minds and be confused and be distracted about things that don't create life-changing profits and life-changing wealth in their life, okay? I don't give a damn if it's January 1st in the Western calendar, in the Gregorian calendar, or if it's January 1st in the Chinese calendar or the Vietnamese calendar or any of the Thailand calendar, any of that nonsense. What I care about is taking the actions and having the belief systems, right, that allows me to make life-changing profits for my family, okay? I have to go see some clients, I have to go meet some clients at the airport and take them to lunch, These clients want to give me money to trade for them and things like that in Vietnam, right? So I have to go talk to them. To me, those are life-changing events for me in my life, okay? Sitting down, getting drunk, celebrating New Year's just because some calendar told me to do so, I'm not a big fan of that, okay? I'm not a big fan of that. I celebrate my wins in crypto. I celebrate special moments in my family with my wife and kids. I celebrate lots of different things when I'm ready to do it. What I don't like to do is celebrate or do things just because everyone else is doing it. However, I'm also careful that when I jump out, of the mainstream of what everybody else is doing, I also be careful that I'm not one of these hippies or one of these MS-13 gang members where I jump out of the box here, but I jump into another box where I'm just another poor, broke dude, except in a different box, okay? So when I leave this system behind that keeps me poor and I make a decision to go into another system, I want to go into a system where the thought processes, the action and the actions of the people in that box or that system gives me a better chance of creating life-changing profits. Okay, so for example, most of the wealthy people that I deal with now and I associate with, right, they write the path of their own lives. They don't let somebody else dictate that path for them. If they want to put their kids in school, it's because they chose to, not because everybody in the neighborhood is doing it. It's not because every wealthy person in the neighborhood is doing it. If they choose to put their kids in private school or international schools, it's because they see the need for their kids to do that, okay? If they buy that artwork or they eat that type of food or they do that type of exercise or they invest into that product or that service or that business, it's because they made the decision to do that, not because the previous system encourages them. Now, however, I will admit this. When you decide, you make the decision to jump into the box or the template or the system where people make life-changing profits like I did, well then what happens is you will find that a lot of your thoughts, your speech, and your actions are different from the regular people, and you will encounter resistance. You will encounter, a ridicule. You will encounter laughter. You will encounter embarrassment. You will encounter criticism. But that is the nature. That is the nature that when you step into the box where you say, hey man, I'm going to leave this mainstream system or this box and go into a box or a mainstream or another system where it gives me a chance to make life-changing profits and live the life that I want to live with my family, well then this is part of it. This is part of it, and you either accept it or you don't. You don't accept it, well then don't come into this box or this system where people make life-changing profits, okay? That's one of the things that we talk about in our cryptocurrency investing blueprint, which is a recording of everything that we know about how to make life-changing profits in cryptocurrency trading and investing. You can get you a copy at www.cryptocurrency.market/blueprint, okay? In this blueprint, we constantly talk about if you are going to step outside the box, make sure that you choose the right box to step into so that you can have an opportunity to make life-changing profits, okay? Because if not, then all you're doing is you're just wasting time going from one system to another. Make sure that the people that live in that box or interact or reside in that box or that environment or that stereotype or that system is accomplishing the things that you want. For example, it may not even have to be life-changing profits, okay? You might, be a guy that likes to sleep with a lot of women. Well, make sure that the box or the system that you adopt allows you to do that. You might be someone that likes to do charitable work or religious work, right? Well, make sure that you step into that box or that thing or that system that allows you to do a lot of spiritual things that you want, okay? I just use the life-changing profits as an example because that's what we do, and that's the system or the box that we like to belong in and that I like for my family to belong in because it allows us to live the life that we want to live, okay? So I hope that this video helps you guys evaluate and ask yourself, hey, and when I say that I'm leaving the mainstream system, am I really leaving the mainstream system? Am I still doing the things that everyone does in the mainstream? Because if it is, if that's what everyone else is doing, then in my mind, I can say that I'm leaving the system, but am I really leaving the system? The way that I determine when I'm leaving the system or not is when I look at my actions. Are my actions different from the other people that's in the mainstream system that is still broke or that's still poor, that's still working a 9-to-5 job or still got the golden handcuffs on them, or still stuck to the corporate world, still dependent on the corporate world for a paycheck. Okay, so that's what I would invite you guys to consider and really ask yourself, because like I said, my housekeeper was asking why I won't put my kids in school. However, when I tell her that, nobody in the school is qualified to teach my kids how to manage or take care or grow a multi-million-dollar portfolio, right? She doesn't see that as an issue. And some of you guys might say, oh, Ty, she's your housekeeper, she doesn't know anything about finances, that's why she's your housekeeper, right? Or your maid. Why even bother explaining to her? Well, I try to say this to her, because she's been my housekeeper for almost a year now, right? And I'm sharing this with you guys, and I'm glad that she asked me these things so that I can share with you guys and remind you guys, right, that evaluate your actions, okay? Evaluate your actions. If you say, hey, I'm stepping into crypto and I'm gonna do something different than what everybody else is doing in the stock market, in the bond market, in the gold market. However, when it's time to buy Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies, when it's on sale, right, I'm afraid to buy it. I'm not willing to take that action. Matter of fact, I'm willing to take that action when the price starts going up. When Tesla's at 75 cents or 80 cents, I'm not willing to buy it. But when Tesla's at $1.85 or $1.80 and it's already doubled in price, that's when I'm willing to buy it. Am I really stepping outside the box? Am I really any different than what I was before in the mainstream as a mainstream investor? Am I really a contrarian? Am I really doing anything that's different? Okay, so thanks for watching this video, guys. If you guys want to learn more about how to view the world of crypto and trading differently so that you can make life-changing profits, I highly recommend that you get a copy of our cryptocurrency investing blueprint at www.cryptocurrency.market/blueprint. Also, make sure that you follow us on our newsletter at www.cryptocurrency.market/newsletter, because YouTube has been deleting crypto influencers accounts and crypto accounts, and in case they delete our account for any stupid reason and censor us because they don't like us sharing how we make life-changing profits with other people, you can still get our content by being one of our newsletter subscribers. Okay, so make sure you go there and subscribe to our newsletter, and also make sure that you follow me on Twitter at HeyTyZen, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys in a future video. Thank you.